Today we're going to be discussing how to replace a Kelpeta pump on a 10 kilowatt air assist chiller. Before we actually start working on this, let's go ahead and go through all the tools that are going to be required for this repair. First thing you're going to want to verify is that you have a 14 millimeter socket with an extension, a 7 and 8 millimeter nut driver, a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a knife, a pair of cutters, and a 14 millimeter box end wrench. You're also going to want an assortment of crescent wrenches, but you're going to want to make sure at least one of your crescent wrenches has a jaw width of at least 2.5 inches. After that, we're going to need a couple zip ties, some Teflon tape, a couple shop rags to keep the area clean, a funnel to add the glycol back to the chiller, and some Armaflex if you remove any insulation off the piping. I'm also going to be using a drill today, but that's not required. It's also a good idea to bring glycol to the chiller for this repair. Here at ACT, we do supply OEM glycol, and what's required for these air assist chillers are a 50-50 mix of propylene glycol with a yellow rust dye inhibitor. If you have any questions about that, you can always call our sales department. And the last thing we're going to also need is 3 clean 5-gallon pails. After this, we're just going to want to make sure you have the new pump and you're ready to actually do the repair. Next, we're going to want to do is remove these quick connect fittings and remove the hoses off of them. You're going to verify that you know which one's the supply and return line and label them if you have any doubt. We'll go ahead and just put the bucket underneath here and remove them. Now that we have the glycol, or now that we have this, these lines off, we're going to go ahead and start removing the glycol out of it. Next step here is we're going to start removing the sensor. This sensor here is actually embedded into the pipe and it's just held on with a zip tie. The next thing we can go ahead and start working on is removing the power to this pump. At this point, you're going to notice that the pump is connected to this vertical line. This vertical line cannot be removed inside the pump or inside the chiller. So we're actually going to have to remove the pump and this vertical line as one piece. There's nothing else holding on this pump except for these 4 bolts down here mounting it to the chiller, this union, and this Y or this U bend up here. Since we're still draining glycol, I say we start working on removing these mounting bolts. We're just waiting for the glycol to drain, but one thing we can start working on is you have the U bend up here and you have a nut on both sides. We only need to remove one side, so we're going to remove this nut right here. Okay, well now the only thing that's holding this pump in place is this union. We're not going to want to open this union up until we got all the glycol out. Okay, at this point we can just go ahead and loosen up the union here. I'm going to throw a couple rags underneath there because even though we removed all the glycol, there's still glycol in that pump. So I'll go ahead and put the glycol in there. Rags there. Okay, we're going to want to do one more visual inspection to make sure that we're not have anything still attached to this vertical pipe or the pump itself. Everything's tucked out of the way. It's not going to catch when we do pull this out. And I do want to say that we need to take precaution when we take out this pump. As we're taking out in one piece, we are going to have to kind of twist it out, and we're going to take extra caution on this sight glass. This is a glass sight glass, and this pressure gauge here is prone to hitting this, and when it hits it, it shatters. So when we're taking this out, you want to take extra caution and watch this sight glass to make sure you don't hit this pressure gauge and make sure you don't hit that sight glass. Okay, at this point we got the pump out.